Today we're going to talk about the Smallrig quick release plate here, designed for the Manfrotto 501PL. Now it does come with its own plate, and at first glance you might look at it and say, okay, it's a quick release plate. What's the big deal? Well, the difference between this one and most other QR plates out there is that you can actually mount your camera over the top without having to slide the QR plate through the base, which is huge, and it's something I've been kind of talking about a lot lately because more and more people are implementing that. If you take a look at Manfrotto's MVH 500AH head, it's a drop-in style. It goes right over the top. You take a look at their new X Pro monopod. Their head on there also drops over the top. The Lebec THX head here, video head, comes over the top. And let me show you the difference if you guys haven't seen my previous videos. Basically, you would take your Manfrotto 501PL plate, right, quick release plate, and instead of sliding it on a head like this is Benro's S4 here, which is very similar to a lot of the Manfrotto like 701 HDV and so on. You would have to slide your plate through to get it to go in. Now, if we take the Lebec, we don't need to slide this through. We actually just come over the top and just drop it in just like that, and then we can release coming off the top. So why is that beneficial? Well, if you're using QR bases like this, quick release bases like this, where you have to slide in, a lot of you guys might be using something like this on, say, your gimbal. So while this is in the middle of your gimbal frame and you have your camera, you're trying to slide that in here, that could be difficult. You have to kind of come around through the back. Some guys will flip their plate around backwards, flip the base around backwards. So that, it's kind of a workaround. If you can come over the top, it makes it way easier. So we look at the Smallrig here, and when we loosen this clamp, we can come right off the top. So we'll loosen this up and we can come right off of the top. We don't need to slide it in. Now, even though you do slide it in, it does have a catch here. If you don't happen to tighten this down far enough, it won't fall off. It's got that safety. But you loosen it up enough, you come right over the top. Again, this is hugely beneficial. Let me show you an example. If we were to take like our GH4 here with an adapted lens. Now this is one of the smaller lenses, but you'll notice that this right here is already protruding below the base of the camera. Now, if you had other things like a rig with handles and stuff, it makes it very difficult to try to slide this camera onto a head or QR base, because this front portion is going to hit before it can get here, and then we got to slide this in, right? So it basically becomes harder to do that. So you always have to kind of raise your small camera up. So with a drop-in style plate, you don't have to do that. Now, when I mentioned earlier, people would flip their plates around. Now, this is a standard 501PL plate, and you notice that it has a little lens direction here. It has a little catch over here, so that's for your safety. And then you see just kind of how the plate is designed. If you look at the Smallrig plate, you'll notice that there is no real lens direction. It has them on both sides here. And then they also include a 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter, and that's mounted right in here, and that prevents this from falling out. When you get a standard plate like this, you just get a little rubber thing, and it normally has 2 different screws in here, a 1/4 and a 3/8. But basically what you're getting is a different style plate, and it actually is pretty cool because they include this here. You always need something like this, and it traps your screw. Also, the plate has these different mounting holes, so that could be handy, and then it has these raised studs here. Now what the raised studs are for is you can actually move this from the front or the back. Again, there's no front part of this plate, so you can rotate this around. Now you can use these to push up either through the front or behind your camera, and sort of acts like an anti-twist. So if it's butt up against the back of your camera, then it won't twist around as much. If you don't need them, you just unscrew them. So we'll just unscrew these because we don't need them. And that's that. You have a standard plate. All right, so as an example, let's mount this plate over here. Now that we have the plate over here, if we had this QR base mounted inside one of our gimbals or something like that, we don't have to try to get this to slide in or worry about going in from the back. We really could just come right off the top, come in here, and then we can tighten this down right here. And you see how much clearance we have. Works fine. Now if you're running into a problem where your bottom clearance is hitting something, this one right here, you could pull this little kind of kip out here and you could reposition it. So you pull it away towards you and then you can rotate it and then you could tighten it up a little bit further. So that has one of those tightening knobs, whereas some don't have that, and it makes it difficult to tighten up if it's in a tight position here. So let's loosen this up again. Now one of the things I really like about drop-in style plates as well is that you can get away with almost any cheap 501 plate. So here's an example. This is pretty much your standard 501 PL. This is a standard Benro S4 head. So this would probably slide in fine, right? So if we loosen this up here, we could get this to slide in okay, or maybe, yeah, we can get this to slide in. But you notice we have some different plates here, and they're just slightly different. They still claim to be 501 PL compatible, but they're not. So some of these will kind of jam up. They'll kind of jam up in here because they don't fit perfectly. Even in this QR base here, not all the plates will fit very smoothly. So what I'm finding is with the drop-in style heads, you can use almost any plate. So you could drop this one in here. So let's take this out. We could drop this one in here. And we could drop this one as well. But same with the Smallrig. We could just drop in any plate, lock it down. You see how we can get that in there. Drop this in there. So it's kind of like Arca Swiss, except it's made for the 501 PL. And so going with an adapter like this gives you a lot of benefits because you drop right over the top, so you don't really have to worry about your camera configuration or your rig, how you build your rig, whether you have a follow focus in the front or even a matte box. You can just drop it right over the top. You can also use a lot of aftermarket plates, which you can get a lot of these for like $5 to $7. And yeah, it's just great. It's got a couple of extra mounts here too, so you guys can attach other things to it. And then their QR plate has you know, little standoffs. If we wanted to say mount it on the back of this camera right here, we could prevent it from twisting. Obviously we have an LCD, so we don't want to do that, but we could do that on this plate. So the plate's a little bit more functional as well. It does cost a lot more than your standard Manfrotto QR plate, but there are very specific reasons where people want a quick release base that you can go right over the top. And if you're looking for something like that for Manfrotto 501 PL, take a look at Smallrigs. I'll have a link below this video or on the blog, cheesycam.com.